Hello and welcome back to my channel. If not back, then just welcome. If it is your first time here, I would love it if you would click on the subscribe button and join me on my YouTube journey. Today I am coming to you with a palette review. The palette that I will be reviewing is the Bad Habit Beauty Retro Love palette. This palette here is a $10 exact dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. However, the quality is a lot more workable and a lot more user-friendly than the Subculture palette. Originally, I was planning on getting the Subculture palette, but then there was all that drama with the quality of the palette and it not being very workable and it being a palette of pressed pigments versus it being a palette of eyeshadows. I wasn't going to listen to any of the hype. I wanted to go and test it out for myself, but every time I went to swatch it, it was pretty much what the complaints were. I found that I was also experiencing them and swatching them in store. So I just went ahead and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to cut my losses on this one and I'm not going to get this palette. I was kind of bummed out about it because the Subculture palette is very fall. I feel like it's kind of setting the tone for fall makeup. It's a bit more cool toned than what we have been seeing a lot of lately. A lot of greens, some mustard yellows in there. Even the pinks and whatnot that they have in there, they run a little bit more cool tone than this trend that we have been seeing of all of these amber, copper, bronze eyeshadows. So it's kind of a bummer that the palette didn't really live up to the expectations that I feel like a lot of us had for it. The Bad Habit Beauty came in clutch with this Retro Love palette. Did I mention that it's $10? I created this eye look using only this palette here. I didn't record because I was just kind of playing around with the shadows. So let me know if this is a look that you will be interested in seeing me recreate on my channel. Here we have the palette on the inside. Now moving on to swatches. For the swatches, I will be using my finger. I will be naming the correlating shadow from the Subculture palette as I swatch. As I do not have the Subculture palette, I do not have anything to compare it to directly. So I will insert a photo of the Subculture palette swatched on an arm as well. The first color we have here is Psychedelic, a duochrome pink pearl. Psychedelic is a dupe for Cube. Then we have Peace, which is a dupe for Dawn and is described as an ultra matte sand. Next we have Icon, which is a dupe for Electric, a duochrome lime gold. Then we have Flower Power, which is a dupe for Roxy. That's described as an ultra matte muted coral. Next is Hippie, a dupe for Destiny, which is described as a matte sage green. Youth, a dupe for Fudge, which is an ultra matte warm bronze. Pop, a dupe for Mercury, which is an ultra matte slate gray. Revolution, a dupe for Adorn, which is a metallic bronze. Rebel, a dupe for Edge, which is an ultra matte gold mustard. Nostalgia, a dupe for Rowdy, an ultra matte black and purple. Mod, a dupe for Untamed, an ultra matte tarnished green. Fab, a dupe for New Age, an ultra matte citron orange. Rock and Roll, a dupe for All Star, an ultra matte vintage wine. And finally, Free Love, a dupe for Axis, an ultra matte blue green. Here's the full spectrum of colors. In swatches, Mod and Free Love look very similar, but Free Love is much more pigmented, whereas Mod is, as you can see, more diluted and easier to build. And when you build it, it leans more green than Free Love, which leans more teal. So even though these two look very similar on my skin, they perform differently, so I feel like both of them are necessary. I really appreciate Fab. Fab looks more like a mustard yellow on my skin tone than Rebel does, where Rebel is supposed to be a yellow. It's really, really hard to see on my skin. I would have to pack it out a lot in order for it to work because, as you can see, just a little bit of blending, it disappears right into my skin. Whereas Fab, you blend that out and it blends into my skin, but it has more staying power and more depth. So if I wanted to incorporate yellow into a look, I could. Piece is of absolutely no use to me unless I were to use it as a brow bone highlight, which I might. But as far as sort of any look, it's not really of any use to me. Some of the shadows, such as Hippie and Pop a little bit, and even Youth, they may look chalky because the pigmentation fades from the start to the end of the swatch, but I like shadows like that. Shadows like that are easier for me to use. They're easier for me to blend and to mesh with other colors, as opposed to a color like Free Love, which is so pigmented from start to finish that it's hard for me to blend it with other colors to get a nice gradient effect. So even though the swatches of these may not be as impactful as the swatches from the Subculture palette, I appreciate these more because of their workability. The colors that I have on my eyes right now are Icon, Mod, and Fab. All of the names of the shadows correspond with something that was really popular in the 60s to continue with this retro love theme. As far as the quality of the shadows, I found that this palette was super easy to work with. Eyeshadow is not my strong suit, so I was intimidated by the Subculture palette with it being a palette of pressed pigments. I don't possess the artistry to get a full usage out of that palette, but this Retro Love palette here is much more user-friendly, much more for makeup enthusiasts and casual makeup wearers, as opposed to the Subculture palette, which I feel like is more for makeup artists. I found these shadows to be super easy to work with. They blended into each other nicely without becoming muddy, which I heard was a problem with the Subculture palette. Now, these mattes are not as creamy as Anastasia Beverly Hills mattes are, but for a $10 eyeshadow palette, it is perfect. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of different looks out of this palette, going to get a lot of use out of this palette. Overall, I just recommend this palette. Now, according to Bad Habit Beauty's website, the only place where this palette is available is in select boutiques, but it doesn't give you a list of where those boutiques are, and at shophush.com. Unfortunately, it is sold out on hush.com. However, I've been tracking that site. I really like that site. I will have a future video with a hush.com haul. They do restock frequently, so if you are interested in the palette, then go ahead and sign up for the email notifications, or you could just enter my giveaway. I will be giving away one Retro Love palette. Here it is in the box, nice and sealed, never opened. So if you are interested in entering my giveaway, what I need from you is for you to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as well as follow me on Instagram and my new Facebook makeup page. Then when you have done all of those things, just comment down below and leave me your Instagram name and your Facebook name if those are different from your YouTube name here, just so that I can do some cross-referencing and verify that you have done all of those things. Stay tuned for further videos because I have more exciting news coming up. And that's it for today's video. As always, thank you so very much for watching. In the comments down below, in addition to leaving me all of your info, let me know if you want a tutorial on this look. As always, if you have made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so very much. Till next time. Bye, guys.